The cold night air hung heavy over the small gas station that sat just off Highway 27. Located on the outskirts of Riverdale, the Sunset Gas and Mart was one of the few places still open at this late hour. The bright fluorescent lights created a small island of visibility in the darkness, attracting occasional travelers like moths to a flame. Marcus Johnson stood by the window, watching the empty road. At 45 years old, his broad shoulders and straight posture hinted at his military past. After 20 years in the Marines, including 3 tours overseas, Marcus now worked as the night security guard at this quiet gas station. The job wasn't exciting, but it paid the bills while he figured out his next move in life. The night shift manager, Lily Chen, walked over with a cup of coffee. "Quiet night again," she said, handing him the steaming cup. "Just the way I like it," Marcus replied with a small smile. He took the coffee and nodded his thanks. Lily was a college student working nights to pay for her education. At 23, she was hardworking and smart. Marcus had taken a fatherly interest in her, making sure she stayed safe during the late shifts. The clock on the wall showed 1:15 a.m., only a few more hours until his shift ended. Marcus did a quick walk around the store, checking the aisles and making sure everything was in order. The routine was simple but necessary. Most nights passed without incident, just the occasional drunk customer or lost traveler needing directions. Marcus returned to his spot near the front door. From here, he could see both the inside of the store and the gas pumps outside. His eyes scanned the property, a habit from his military days that he couldn't break. The quiet night was suddenly broken by the distant rumble of engines. Marcus straightened up, his senses instantly alert. The sound grew louder, and soon he could see headlights approaching. Not just 1 or 2, but several vehicles moving together. "Sounds like motorcycles," Lily said, looking up from her phone. Marcus nodded, his face showing no emotion. "Quite a few of them." 6 motorcycles pulled into the gas station lot, their engines roaring before going silent. The riders were all men wearing leather jackets with patches, showing they belonged to a group called the Night Wolves. Marcus had heard about this motorcycle club. They had a reputation for causing trouble in nearby towns. The bikers dismounted, laughing and talking loudly. They were big men, covered in tattoos, with long beards and bandanas. Their leader, a massive man with a wild red beard, slapped one of his friends on the back before pointing toward the store. Lily tensed up behind the counter. "Should I call the police?" she whispered to Marcus. Marcus shook his head slightly. "Not yet. Let's see what they want first." The door chimed as the bikers entered the store. The small space suddenly felt crowded with their large presence. They spread out among the aisles, still talking loudly and laughing. Marcus watched them carefully, noting how they moved and keeping track of where each man was. He stayed near the counter, close to Lily, his body relaxed but ready. The leader of the group walked up to the counter, looking down at Lily with a smile that wasn't friendly. "Hello there, pretty lady," he said. "Nice quiet place you got here." Marcus stepped forward slightly, catching the man's attention. "Evening," Marcus said calmly. "Can I help you gentlemen find anything?" The red-bearded man turned to face Marcus, his smile fading as he took in the security guard's steady gaze. Something in Marcus's eyes made him pause. The night had just become interesting. The red-bearded leader of the Night Wolves stared at Marcus for a long moment. His eyes narrowed as he sized up the security guard. "We don't need no help from a rent-a-cop," he finally said, turning back to his friends with a laugh. The other bikers joined in, their laughter echoing through the small store. Marcus didn't react. He simply stood his ground, hands relaxed at his sides, watching as the bikers spread throughout the store. 2 of them headed toward the beer coolers at the back, while another started looking through the snack aisle. The leader and 2 others remained near the front counter, still eyeing Lily with looks that made Marcus's jaw tighten. "What's your name, sweetheart?" the leader asked Lily, leaning on the counter. "I'm just doing my job, sir," Lily answered politely but firmly. "Can I help you find something?" Marcus admired her professionalism. She was scared. He could see it in her eyes, but she didn't show it in her voice. The sound of glass bottles clinking came from the back of the store. The 2 bikers were grabbing beers from the cooler, opening them on the spot. One of them took a long drink, then burped loudly. "Hey, you need to pay for those first," Lily called out, her voice stronger than Marcus expected. The leader laughed. "Don't worry about it. We're good for it." He turned to Marcus. Ain't that right, old man? Marcus met his gaze evenly. Store policy says you pay before you drink. The atmosphere in the room changed instantly. The laughter stopped. The leader straightened up, no longer leaning on the counter. He was a big man, at least 6'3" and well over 250 pounds. Tattoos covered his thick arms, and his red beard couldn't hide the scar that ran along his jaw. Store policy, he repeated, his voice dangerously quiet. You gonna enforce that policy? One of the other bikers moved to stand beside his leader. He was shorter but looked just as tough, with a shaved head and eyes that had seen too many fights. Ray, this old guy thinks he's tough, he said, not taking his eyes off Marcus. Ray, the red-bearded leader, nodded. I think you're right, Diesel. He looked around the store. Just you working security tonight, old-timer? Marcus didn't answer. He was busy watching the other bikers, who had now formed a loose circle around him. 6 men, all of them younger and bigger than him. Most people would be terrified, but Marcus felt strangely calm. This wasn't his first rodeo. I asked you a question, Ray said, taking a step closer to Marcus. Yes, I'm the only security tonight, Marcus replied calmly. But that should be enough. This brought another round of laughter from the bikers. Ray looked genuinely amused. You hear that, boys? That should be enough. He wiped a tear from his eye. Man, you got balls, I'll give you that. The biker called Diesel wasn't laughing. Let's show this old man what happens when people don't mind their own business. Ray's smile disappeared. Yeah, I think it's time for a lesson. He turned to Lily. Don't worry, honey. We're not gonna wreck the place much. Lily's hand moved slowly under the counter, where Marcus knew the panic button was located. Good girl, he thought. The bikers were closing in now. Marcus took a deep breath and centered himself. 20 years in the Marines, including 10 in Special Forces, had taught him how to handle situations like this. These men might be tough street fighters, but they had no idea what they were walking into. Last chance, gentlemen, Marcus said quietly. Pay for your drinks and leave peacefully. Ray laughed and cracked his knuckles. Oh, we'll leave when we're good and ready, old man, and you're gonna need an ambulance when we do. The first biker lunged forward, and the night suddenly became very interesting indeed. The biker with the shaved head, Diesel, swung first. His heavy fist cut through the air, aimed directly at Marcus's face. It was a powerful punch that would have knocked out most men. But Marcus wasn't most men. With a movement so quick it seemed almost casual, Marcus shifted slightly to the left. Diesel's punch missed by inches, throwing him off balance. Before the biker could recover, Marcus grabbed his extended arm, twisted it behind his back, and used Diesel's own momentum to slam him face first into the counter. The whole sequence took less than 2 seconds. Diesel let out a surprised grunt of pain as his cheek hit the hard surface. Marcus kept the pressure on the man's arm, holding him in place without seeming to use much effort at all. The store fell silent. 5 pairs of shocked eyes stared at Marcus. No one had expected this outcome. Like I said, Marcus spoke calmly, as if he were discussing the weather. Pay for your drinks and leave peacefully. Ray's face turned almost as red as his beard. You're dead, old man. He signaled to 2 other bikers who immediately moved toward Marcus. Lily backed away from the counter, her hand reaching for her phone. Marcus gave her a quick nod, silently telling her to call for help. The next 2 bikers attacked together. One grabbed a can of motor oil from a shelf and threw it at Marcus's head, while the other came in low, trying to tackle him. Marcus released Diesel, ducking under the flying can in one smooth motion. As the second biker lunged at his legs, Marcus sidestepped and brought his elbow down hard between the man's shoulder blades. The biker crashed to the floor with a pained cry. The first biker charged forward, throwing wild punches. Marcus blocked the first 2 hits with his forearms, then countered with a sharp jab to the man's throat. Not hard enough to cause serious damage, but enough to make the biker stumble back, gasping for air. That's 3, Marcus said, his breathing barely changed. Who's next? Ray couldn't believe what he was seeing. This older security guard had just taken down 3 of his toughest men in less than a minute. But Ray hadn't become the leader of the Night Wolves by backing down from a fight. Slash, Hammer, get him, Ray ordered the remaining 2 bikers. The one called Hammer was the biggest of the group. standing nearly 6'5" with arms like tree trunks. Slash was smaller but pulled out a switchblade, the metal gleaming under the store lights. A knife? Marcus raised an eyebrow. Now you're escalating to armed assault. That's a felony. Slash grinned, showing missing teeth. Can't press charges if you're not breathing, old man. He lunged forward, slashing with the knife. Marcus moved like water, flowing around the blade. He caught Slash's wrist mid-swing, applying pressure to a specific nerve point. Slash screamed in pain as the knife fell from his suddenly numbed fingers. In the same motion, Marcus kicked the knife away and delivered a precise strike to Slash's knee. The biker went down hard, clutching his leg. Hammer came in from the side, swinging a massive fist. Marcus ducked under it and delivered 2 quick punches to the big man's kidney area. Hammer grunted in pain but kept coming, grabbing Marcus in a bear hug. Marcus didn't fight the hold. Instead, he brought his forehead down sharply onto the bridge of Hammer's nose. There was a crunch and blood spurted out. Hammer released his grip instantly, hands going to his broken nose. A swift kick to the inside of Hammer's knee sent the big man crashing to the floor, joining his friends. In less than 2 minutes, 5 tough bikers were down, either moaning in pain or struggling to get up. Only Ray remained standing, his face a mask of disbelief and rage. "What the hell are you?" he demanded. Marcus straightened his uniform shirt, which had barely been disturbed during the fight. He looked Ray directly in the eyes. "I'm the security guard," he said simply. "Your move." Ray stood frozen, his eyes darting between his fallen friends and the calm security guard standing before him. The red-bearded leader of the Night Wolves had been in countless bar fights and street brawls, but he had never seen anyone move like Marcus. 5 of his toughest men were down in less than 2 minutes, and the security guard wasn't even breathing hard. "This isn't over," Ray growled, but there was a new note in his voice, uncertainty. Marcus remained perfectly still, his eyes never leaving Ray's face. "It can be," he'd offered. "Pay for the drinks, and take your friends out of here." From behind the counter, Lily spoke up. "I called the police. They'll be here in about 5 minutes." Ray's face darkened with anger. He was caught in a trap of his own making. His reputation would be ruined if he backed down, but fighting this man clearly wasn't going to end well. "You don't know who you're messing with," Ray threatened, taking a step forward. "I've got friends all over this county. One word from me, and you'll never work security again." Marcus didn't blink. "I don't think your friends would be very impressed by what I'm seeing right now." On the floor, Diesel was struggling to his feet, holding his twisted arm. "Ray, man, this guy isn't normal," he warned, his voice strained with pain. The other bikers were also getting up slowly, each nursing various injuries. Hammer was still on his knees, blood flowing freely from his broken nose. Slash couldn't put weight on his damaged knee. No one seemed eager to continue the fight. Ray looked around the store, noticing for the first time the security cameras in each corner. Everything had been recorded. This was getting worse by the second. "Fine," Ray finally said, reaching for his wallet. "How much for the beers?" Lily quickly calculated the total. $27.50. Ray threw 2 $20 bills on the counter. "Keep the change," he muttered, then turned to his friends. "Let's go." As the bikers limped toward the door, Marcus finally moved, stepping to one side to let them pass. He maintained a ready stance, clearly prepared if any of them tried something on the way out. Just as Ray was about to exit, he stopped and turned back to Marcus. "I got to know, who the hell are you, really?" Marcus considered the question for a moment. 20 years in the Marines. Force Recon. 3 tours in Afghanistan, 2 in Iraq. Understanding dawned on Ray's face. Special Forces? Marcus gave a small nod. Ray shook his head, almost laughing at the bad luck of picking this particular gas station to mess with. "You should wear a warning sign, man." "Wouldn't be much point," Marcus replied. "The people who need the warning never read the signs." Ray couldn't argue with that logic. He pushed the door open and followed his friends outside. The rumble of motorcycle engines filled the night air moments later as the Night Wolves retreated. Inside the store, Lily rushed over to Marcus. "Are you okay? That was amazing. I've never seen anything like it." Marcus rolled his shoulders, checking for any injuries. "I'm fine. Are you all right?" Lily nodded, her eyes wide with admiration. "Where did you learn to fight like that?" "It's not fighting," Marcus corrected gently. "It's about ending the threat with minimal force." Fighting is what they wanted to do. The distant wail of police sirens could be heard coming closer. "Should we tell the police everything?" Lily asked. Marcus thought for a moment. "We'll tell them what happened. The security footage will show they started it." As they waited for the police to arrive, Marcus began straightening the few items that had been knocked over during the brief confrontation. His movements were precise and efficient, a man who believed in leaving things better than he found them. Lily watched him with newfound respect. The quiet security guard who barely spoke during shifts had suddenly revealed himself to be something entirely different, a highly trained warrior who had seen real combat but chose to work a simple security job at a gas station. The night was far from over. 2 police cruisers pulled into the gas station parking lot, their red and blue lights flashing against the dark night. Officer Pete Donnelly stepped out of the first car, followed by his younger partner, Officer Sarah Chen. A third officer emerged from the second vehicle. "Evening, Marcus," Officer Donnelly said as he entered the store. The veteran cop had known Marcus for several years now. They occasionally went fishing together on weekends. "Pete," Marcus nodded in greeting. "Sorry to bring you out here so late." Officer Donnelly looked around the store, noticing a few items scattered on the floor and the nervous but excited expression on Lily's face. "What happened?" Lily said something about bikers causing trouble. Marcus explained the situation calmly, keeping his account factual and brief. 6 members of the Night Wolves Motorcycle Club came in. They took beer without paying, got aggressive when asked to pay, and then things got physical. Officer Chen was checking the security monitors behind the counter. "We got it all on camera," she confirmed. "Clear as day." "And where are these bikers now?" Officer Donnelly asked, pulling out his notepad. "They left about 5 minutes ago," Marcus answered. "Headed east on Highway 27. The third officer spoke into his radio, alerting other units in the area to look out for the motorcycle group. "Anyone hurt?" Officer Donnelly looked at Marcus more carefully, searching for signs of injury. "They're worse for wear," Marcus replied with a slight shrug. "I'm fine." Lily jumped in, unable to contain her excitement any longer. It was incredible. They'd all attacked him at once, and Marcus took down all 5 of them in like 2 minutes. One had a knife, and the biggest guy was huge, but Marcus handled them like they were nothing. Officer Donnelly raised an eyebrow at Marcus. 5 on 1, huh? Marcus looked slightly uncomfortable with the attention. They weren't trained, just angry. Officer Chen looked up from the security footage, her eyes wide. "Sir, you need to see this," she called to her partner. Officer Donnelly walked over to view the monitor. As he watched the replay of the brief fight, his expression changed from professional interest to amazement. "Dan, Marcus," he said after watching the entire encounter. "Still got those force recon moves, I see." Marcus said nothing, but the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. While the officers reviewed the footage, the store phone rang. Lily answered it, then looked confused. "It's for you, Marcus," she said, holding out the phone. "Someone named Captain Reynolds." Marcus took the phone, surprised. "Reynolds? How did you know I was here?" The officers continued their work as Marcus spoke quietly on the phone. His expression grew more serious as the conversation continued. After hanging up, Marcus turned to Officer Donnelly. "That might complicate things." "What's up?" Donnelly asked. "That was my former commanding officer," Marcus explained. "Apparently, the Night Wolves aren't just weekend bikers. They're connected to a drug trafficking operation the DEA has been monitoring for months." Officer Donnelly's face hardened. "And now they know you're here." Marcus nodded. "Reynolds thinks they might come back, looking for payback. Not tonight, but soon." "How does your old CO even know about what just happened?" Officer Chen asked. "He didn't explain, but Reynolds always had ways of knowing things," Marcus replied. "Military intelligence doesn't really retire." Officer Donnelly considered this new information. "We can increase patrols around here for the next few weeks." "I appreciate that," Marcus said. "But I think this is something I need to handle personally." Lily looked worried now. "What does that mean?" Marcus's eyes took on that distant look that comes from seeing too much combat. It means my quiet job just got a little more interesting. The officers filed their report and promised to stay in touch. As they left, Officer Donnelly pulled Marcus aside. "You need backup, you call me directly," he said, handing Marcus his personal card. "Not just the station. Me." Marcus nodded, grateful for the support. After the police left, Marcus checked all the doors and windows of the gas station. The night was quiet again, but he knew it wouldn't stay that way for long. The night wolves would be back, and next time, they'd come prepared. 3 days passed without incident. Marcus worked his regular night shifts at the gas station, watching and waiting. Each night, he arrived 30 minutes early to check the entire property. Each morning, he stayed late to make sure the day shift arrived safely. The normal routine of the gas station continued, but something had changed. There was tension in the air, like the calm before a storm. Lily noticed it too. "Do you really think they'll come back?" she asked on Thursday night, glancing nervously at the empty parking lot. "Maybe," Marcus answered honestly. "Men like that don't like losing, especially not in front of their friends." The store owner, Mr. Patel, had reviewed the security footage and immediately offered Marcus a raise. "You saved my store from being destroyed," he had said with genuine gratitude. Marcus had tried to decline, but Mr. Patel insisted. He also hired a second security guard, Miguel, to work alongside Marcus. Miguel was a former Army MP who had moved to town recently. He was younger than Marcus, but had a similar quiet confidence. "2 security guards are better than one," Mr. Patel had explained. Now, on this quiet Thursday night, Marcus and Miguel stood near the front windows, scanning the empty road. "So you think these night wolves are connected to drug trafficking?" Miguel asked in a low voice. Marcus nodded. "According to my old CO, they're moving product up from the south, using this highway as their main route." "And now they know you're here," Miguel said, understanding the situation. "They know someone is here," Marcus corrected. "They don't know who I am." The night dragged on with no sign of trouble. A few regular customers came and went. A trucker stopped for coffee. An old woman bought cat food at 2 a.m., normal night activity. Around 3 a.m., Miguel went to the back to check the storage area, while Lily restocked the coolers. Marcus remained at his post near the front, watching. That's when he saw it. A dark SUV, with tinted windows, driving slowly past the gas station. No headlights, just parking lights. The vehicle circled around the block and passed by again, even slower this time. Marcus reached for the radio clip to his belt. "Miguel, we may have company. Dark SUV, making passes." "Copy that," Miguel's voice crackled back. "Coming up front." Lily noticed Marcus's alertness. "Is it them?" she whispered. "Not sure yet," Marcus replied, "but something's not right." The SUV disappeared from view. Marcus kept his eyes on the road, waiting. Minutes passed with no sign of the vehicle. Miguel joined him at the window. "Maybe they're just looking." Before Marcus could answer, the radio on the counter crackled to life. It was the emergency channel that connected directly to Officer Donnelly. "Marcus, you there?" Donnelly's voice came through, tense and urgent. Marcus picked up the radio. "I'm here, Pete. We just got a tip. The night wolves are planning something tonight. Multiple vehicles. Armed. They're coming for the gas station." Marcus's expression didn't change, but his mind was already calculating. "How many?" "Informant says at least 10 guys," Donnelly replied. "We got cars headed your way, but we're spread thin tonight. ETA 15 minutes at best." "Understood," Marcus said calmly. "We'll secure the location." He turned to Lily. "Call Mr. Patel. Tell him to activate the emergency protocols." Mr. Patel had installed a new security system just yesterday, metal shutters that could drop down over all the windows and doors, essentially turning the gas station into a small fortress. As Lily made the call, Marcus and Miguel began moving quickly around the store, securing everything they could. "You know they'll be armed," Miguel said as he checked the back door. Marcus nodded. "We'll need to be smart, not brave. Our job is to protect Lily and the store until the police arrive." The sound of multiple engines broke the night silence. Not motorcycles this time, cars and trucks. Marcus looked out the window and saw 3 vehicles pulling into the parking lot, the dark SUV from earlier, a pickup truck, and a van. Men were getting out, and even from a distance, Marcus could see they were carrying weapons. "Lily, hit the shutters," Marcus ordered calmly. "Now." As metal barriers began sliding down over the windows and doors, Marcus and Miguel took up defensive positions. This wasn't going to be like last time. These men had come prepared for war. And so had Marcus. The metal shutters finished sliding into place with a heavy clang, sealing the gas station. Inside, the fluorescent lights hummed as Marcus, Miguel, and Lily prepared for what was coming. "Lily, go to the storage room and lock yourself in," Marcus instructed, his voice steady and calm. "Take the emergency phone with you." Lily nodded, her face pale but determined. She grabbed the backup phone and hurried to the back of the store. Marcus turned to Miguel. "You ex-military too?" "Army MP for 8 years, Miguel confirmed, checking the exits. 2 tours in Iraq." "Good," Marcus said, quickly assessing their situation. "We've got about 10 minutes before the police arrive. We need to hold this position." Outside, they could hear angry voices and the sound of fists pounding on the metal shutters. The security cameras showed at least 12 men surrounding the gas station. Some were Nightwolves members, including Ray with his red beard. Others were new faces, likely part of their larger network. "They're testing the perimeter," Miguel observed, watching the security monitors. Marcus nodded. "The shutters will hold for now, but they might try to." A loud bang interrupted him as something heavy hit the back door. "They're using a battering ram," Marcus said, moving toward the sound. "They'll try to force their way in." The banging continued, growing more intense. On the security monitors, they could see 4 men taking turns ramming a heavy metal object against the back door. Miguel looked at Marcus. "We're not armed." "We don't need to be," Marcus replied. He quickly moved through the store, gathering items from different shelves. Cooking spray, lighters, cleaning supplies, duct tape. Miguel watched with growing understanding as Marcus began combining these everyday items. "Improvised defenses," Miguel said with a nod of approval. "Force multipliers," Marcus corrected. "We're not trying to hurt them. Just keep them out until help arrives." The back door was beginning to dent inward from the repeated impacts. It wouldn't hold much longer. Marcus handed Miguel several of his makeshift devices. "Cover the front. I'll take the back." As Miguel moved to the front of the store, the security cameras showed 2 men attaching something to the front shutters. They got cutting tools. Miguel called out, trying to slice through the metal. Marcus remained focused. "Delay them however you can. Non-lethal only." The radio crackled. "Marcus, this is Donnelly. We're 5 minutes out. State police are coming too. Hold tight." "Copy that," Marcus responded. "We've got multiple hostiles attempting entry." With a final powerful hit, the back door frame splintered. The door held, but just barely. One more good hit would break it open. Marcus took position, his improvised defenses ready. He could hear the men outside counting down for another hit. 3, 2, 1. Now. The door burst open, and 2 bikers rushed in, only to be met with a cloud of cooking spray ignited with a lighter. The resulting fireball didn't burn them, but the intense heat and light forced them back, shouting in surprise. Marcus followed this with a mixture of dish soap and pepper that he flung across the floor, creating an instantly slippery surface. The next biker who tried to enter lost his footing and crashed hard to the ground. At the front of the store, Miguel was having similar success. When the bikers cut a hole in the shutter large enough for a man to enter, he sprayed them with a mixture of vinegar and baking soda, temporarily blinding them. "Police, 2 minutes out." Donnelly's voice came through the radio. Marcus and Miguel continued their defensive tactics, using their knowledge of the store's layout to their advantage. They weren't fighting, they were controlling the battlefield. Outside, sirens began to wail in the distance. The bikers realized they were running out of time. "Burn it down," Ray's voice shouted from outside. "If we can't get in, burn the whole place." Through the security cameras, Marcus saw 2 men running back to their vehicles, likely to get gasoline or other flammables. "They're escalating," he told Miguel. "We need to neutralize the leaders before this gets worse." Miguel looked at Marcus. "What's the play?" Marcus's eyes narrowed as he watched Ray directing his men. A surgical strike. In and out. With the police just a minute away and the bikers preparing to commit arson, Marcus made his decision. It was time to take the fight to them. The night air felt cool on Marcus's face as he slipped through the partially damaged back door. The security cameras had shown most of the bikers gathered at the front of the building, with only 2 men guarding the rear. Those 2 were now nursing minor injuries from Marcus's improvised defenses and had retreated to a safe distance. "I'll create a diversion at the front." Miguel's voice came through the small radio. "When you hear it, make your move." Marcus moved silently through the shadows behind the gas station, his years of military training evident in every step. You could see Ray and 3 other men near the SUV, pulling out gas cans and rags. They were preparing Molotov cocktails. The distant sirens were growing louder, but Marcus knew they might not arrive in time to prevent serious damage. He needed to stop this now. A sudden explosion of light and noise erupted from the front of the building. Miguel's diversion. He had ignited a mixture of chemicals that created a bright flash and a loud bang without causing real damage. As the bikers at the front shouted in confusion, Marcus made his move. He sprinted across the parking lot, closing the distance to Ray and his men before they even realized he was there. The first biker barely had time to turn around before Marcus struck him with a precise hit to the solar plexus. The man dropped to his knees, gasping for air. The second biker swung a heavy chain, but Marcus ducked under it and swept the man's legs from under him. Ray and the fourth biker finally noticed what was happening and turned to face Marcus. The fourth man pulled out a knife, its blade gleaming under the gas station lights. "You should have stayed inside, old man," Ray growled, reaching behind his back and pulling out a handgun. "Now you're gonna die." Marcus didn't waste breath responding. As Ray raised his gun, Marcus threw a handful of gravel from the parking lot directly into his face. Ray flinched and fired, but the bullet went wide. In that split second, Marcus closed the distance. A quick strike to Ray's wrist sent the gun flying. The biker with the knife lunged forward, but Marcus sidestepped and grabbed the man's arm, redirecting his momentum into Ray. Both men crashed into each other. Marcus followed with a series of precise strikes, not punches or kicks designed to hurt, but targeted hits to pressure points and nerve clusters that temporarily disabled without causing permanent injury. Within 15 seconds, all 4 men were on the ground. Marcus quickly secured Ray's gun and kicked the gas cans away from the open flames of a dropped lighter. The rest of the bikers, seeing their leader taken down, started to scatter. Some ran for their bikes, while others headed for the vehicles. Blue and red lights flooded the gas station parking lot as 5 police cars screeched to a halt, blocking the exits. Officers poured out, weapons drawn. "Police, freeze, hands where we can see them." The remaining bikers, caught between Marcus and a dozen police officers, wisely chose to surrender. They dropped to their knees, hands raised. Officer Donnelly approached Marcus, who was standing calmly over Ray and the other 3 men. "Couldn't wait for us, huh?" Donnelly asked, shaking his head with a mixture of exasperation and admiration. "They were about to firebomb the place," Marcus said simply, handing over Ray's gun. As the police secured the scene and began arresting the bikers, Lily and Miguel emerged from the gas station. Lily rushed over to Marcus. "Are you okay?" she asked, checking him for injuries. "Fine," Marcus assured her with a small smile. "Just another night at work." Captain Reynolds arrived shortly after the police, still in his civilian clothes. He surveyed the scene. 13 bikers in handcuffs, police everywhere, and Marcus standing calmly in the center of it all. "Just like old times, eh, Marine?" Reynolds said as he approached. Marcus shook his head. "Not really. This was much simpler." 2 weeks later, the Sunset Gas and Mart reopened with improved security and a new sign above the door, "Protected by Veterans Security Services." Marcus and Miguel had started their own security company, with Mr. Patel as their first client. Word of what happened that night spread quickly through the county, and soon other businesses were calling, asking for protection. The Night Wolves Motorcycle Club disbanded after their leaders were arrested on multiple charges, including attempted arson, assault, and drug trafficking. As for Marcus, he found a new purpose, training other veterans to work in security, using their skills to protect rather than harm. The quiet security guard from the gas station had found his calling, turning one bad night into something positive for the whole community. Sometimes, messing with the wrong person changes everything.